Well, they've definitely done it, folks. They've already hit 135 million this year, thanks to folks like us. But not only did they beat all of the previous years handily, every single month they showed gains. I think that has to do with them pushing out 27 different ships this year and having a relatively stable. I know we had some big hiccups in the beginning, but after that, it's been pretty playable for the most part. And I think that's all good for us seeing this game into the future. But 135 million, and we haven't even hit the green at the end, which is December. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Nothing special or unexpected today, folks. We have all of the best in show top 4 ships available for Warbond CCU, as well as those ships that have had a Warbond CCU since the beginning of IAE, like the Perseus. Let's start off with the Polaris here. It is currently a $100 discount for the Warbond, and the best bet here is the Perseus, but it's going to cost you $75. At this point in the game, if you do want a Polaris, this is probably the best price you're going to get. I don't see them offering more than a $100 discount on this particular ship. Now, there are other options to get to the Polaris, okay? But it's all speculation, right? You're going to have to really dig in and speculate and get lucky, right? So 890 jump, no can do. You can't CCU to the 890 jump. So unless you buy it outright, you're not going to get from it to the Polaris. The Pioneer, there is a near zero chance the Pioneer will ever have a Warbond or a CCU available to get to it. So both of these are in the same boat. We know where the Perseus is, right? That's $100 right now for the Warbond. But then you get to the Hull E. If you're guessing that the Hull E is going to be $900, $950, then that's technically a better way to get to the Polaris in the future at a non-Warbond price, right? Sure, there's no discount, but you can buy the Hull E now, capitalize on this capital ship being $900 to $950, $960 even, and then you're at less than $100 away like you would be with the Perseus Warbond. That's one way to play it. I'm not recommending any of these. I'm just giving you the information, folks. A2 is out, Hammerhead's out, but the Nautilus could go up. What if the Nautilus ends up being a $850 ship? I guess that would be $125 away. If the Nautilus ends up being like a $900 ship, that would make it closer, but it would have to hit $900, right? Or to reach parity with the dollar amount you pay for the Perseus, this would have to be $875 ship, because it's still going to be $100 to get from the Nautilus to the Polaris. So, I don't think it's a great choice. What else do we have here? The Odyssey. It's an exploration and expedition ship, so it's going to be competing with the Carrack. It's going to be done in the new pipeline. There's probably going to be a ton of value packed into this ship. As far as using it for a speculative CCU to the Polaris, if this only goes up by $100, you're at $800. Again, then you're still $175 away. So if you think the Odyssey is going to be a $900 ship or more, but less than $975, then you could speculate on it. Same thing for the Merchantman, right? Just wait and see what happens, or you pay the $100 and grab the Perseus. Those are really the only two options. You either speculate on one of these other concept ships that are above $600 already. I don't think I'd go down to the Liberator. I don't think the Liberator's a $900 ship. That doesn't make any sense. Same for the Arastra. I just don't think so. But nearly any of these others, the Orion, the Merchantman, the Odyssey, I don't know about the Nautilus, but maybe the Hull E as well, right? They may get closer, and you can CCU to them, unlike the Jump and the Pioneer. So, food for thought. Just one other way to play the game, folks. Next up, we have the Perseus. And again, it's $100 off. Of course, the ship price has increased since its release. So there's a $100 discount here. I'm still leaning towards the Merchantman, but what you have to be aware of with the Merchantman specifically, if you have a Warbond to a Merchantman, that drops you down to $575 ship. I think I recommended, which was it, the Liberator or the Arastra, both at the same price. So you'll effectively skip the Carrack. If you have a warbond to the Carrack, you won't be able to use it in this chain. If that disrupts your chain, you could consider going to the Carrack and spending $100. I don't really recommend it. I still think the Merchantman is the best one to play here, mainly because it just had a warbond. If you're playing the game new this year, you should have grabbed that Merchantman warbond down to the Arastra or the Liberator, and this would have 2 links in your chain taken care of effectively, and then you just have to gap fill up to the Liberator or Arastra. Again, long term, it's not going to matter much because all of those 3 ships, whichever one you use here, they're all concept ships, and then you have to get to these guys, and you can buy them at a relative discount now from the Hull D, and from the Hull D to, if you had an Ironclad Assault, right, you could go Ironclad Assault to the Hull D or an M2 to the Hull D. At least it's concept pricing, and you can use store credit. That's really the way to go here. I'm still going to recommend the Merchantman for the Perseus. Next up is the Paladin. And the Paladin and the Asgard are the same price here, so I'm just going to go through the Asgard because it's new today, technically. It is one of the ship show final 4, so that's why it was added. Let's do it instead, but the same exact thing would apply to the Paladin if you wanted it. It's a $25 discount, so that's a decent one. And you've got a couple choices here. At the $315 mark, the Stinger is the obvious choice. This has a warbond right now. Just go ahead and grab both the Stinger warbond, which I'll go over here in a minute, and the Stinger to Asgard. To get 2 links in a chain completed during one event is pretty good, so I would go for those. Obviously, there are other options here. The Aquila and the Mole happens all the time. That is also another good choice. I'm sure plenty of people have the Mole out there. You could use that one. That's probably what I would use if I wanted to get to the Asgard. This ship is also growing on me significantly, but I'm not sure I want to commit to it yet. The Akani Aquila is also not a terrible choice, but obviously the Stinger is the one to go for right now. They're all the same price at $315. This makes the best choice today. Just below that is the Stinger, obviously a great link here. This is also a $25 discount for the warbond, and here we get into kind of the decision-making process again, right? These 2 are not great. Neither of them are fantastic, but they're $275. They're the highest price ships you can link to the Stinger, so we got to choose one of them. Let's go to the CCU game app to figure out which one makes a slightly better choice than the other. Here we have the Blade. I'm nearly 100% sure it's had one before 2021, so let's say that there have been 2 total warbond CCUs for the Blade. The only 2 times of year you're going to be able to purchase the Blade for a discount, a possible warbond hitting the CCU game, is Alien Week, and then again in IAE. IAE makes nearly every ship. I think every ship is available during IAE at some point, even the whole limited ships, right? Like that's the thing. You can get everything during IAE. And then Alien Week is a very focused niche exercise in purchasing just alien ships. That's when you get to purchase the Blade. I have a feeling as Nyx gets built out and as they build more missions and content with the Nyx system, I have a feeling they'll have a separate event where things like the Stinger, the Blade, the BMM, other alien ships like the Defender will probably go on sale. I'm guessing that'll happen. They'll probably just do it with a newly released alien ship as well, is my guess. But time will tell. Maybe we'll see something like that in 2026. I think they hinted at an alien ship being available in 2026. We'll see. But my guess is that there will be one more event, at least probably in 2026, where alien ships will be available. But normally it's just those 2 events, IAE and Alien Week. So you see it's limited when you can get it. It's only 2 events. Next is the Vanguard Sentinel. It's a military ship, so you get +1 for Invictus, plus IAE. So it's really 2 main events, but it's also a 2-seater, so it might be released around Valentine's Day with a warbond. It might be released during Red Festival. This was Invictus, right? And I think there were others previous to 2021 as well that just aren't on the list here. So it's had 3 It's come around more often than the Blade for sure. So I'm still going to lean towards a Sentinel. And at the 260 mark, right, it opens us up to a bunch of other choices. And the Meteor was here just this week, or I guess it was last week technically, for IAE, right? The Guardian QIs had one recently. So any of these might be in your hangar, but I'm still going to recommend that you go to the Vanguard Sentinel or the Blade and then gap fill if you want to use one of these $260 ships, right? I'm still going to recommend you go with probably the Vanguard Sentinel makes a little bit better choice here, so I'm going to still recommend that one. There's going to be a gap fill in most of your chains anyway. This isn't a terrible one because it's only going to be $15 from something like the MSR, or if you just picked up the Meteor earlier in IAE, plan on gap fills. That's all I got to say. None of these are going to be perfect. I think I only have one perfect chain, and I don't know if I'm actually going to commit to it. It just happened that it was perfect. I had a discount on every single tier. It was great. But yeah, I'm still going to recommend the Sentinel for the Stinger. After the Stinger, we drop all the way down to the $175 price point here with the Zeus Mark II ES. The ES was one of the final 4 in the ship showdown. That's why it has a war bond today like the others. So let's jump into this one. It's at that weird $175 mark. This is a $10 discount, so not super great at the $175 mark. I'd really like to see 15 or 20 at this point still. After 150, I guess 10's okay, but this seems a little lackluster, quite frankly. Especially if you look at all the other competing $175 ships, right? You've got the Fortune, you've got the Hornet Mark II, you've got the other Zeus, the CL, you have the Vulture, you have the Retaliator, you have the Saber, you have the Cuddy Blue, you have the Cartu All, you have the Freelancer Miss. Nearly all of these have had a war bond, right? I mean, the Retaliator's in a weird place because they redid the whole ship and dropped its price, which is a weird one. But everything else on this list has had a war bond, so there's a lot of competition here. The Vulture comes around way more often than the Zeus ES, so this may not make a great war bond CCU for it to get at all. A lot of things go through the Vulture right here, so and there's so many other to choose from that are right at this $175 mark that it's not a great option. If you don't have any of the others here, then sure, go ahead and grab it. At least you'll have something at the $175 mark. Jumping to the CCU game app again, we have the Zeus ES here. This is technically its third. There were 3 different events that were spaced far enough out that I feel comfortable calling them 3 separate events. This was early December, this was late January, and this one's now in Invictus. It's had 3 now, so that's good. Contrast that with the Vulture. The Vulture's had so many more, just so consistent, very, very, very consistent. I would say the Vulture's probably a better bet at this $175 mark, but it's not available right now. And realistically, there's always another chain, right? So if you want to grab something at $175 mark, you're starting this year and you didn't pick up the Vulture when it happened during IAE, then you can grab this one. If you did pick up a Vulture or 2 Vultures during IAE, I'd probably just skip this one. So $10 discount, all roads lead through the Prospector. I would grab the Prospector. Here's the Prospector. It's relatively consistent. The Razor EX, nothing. And after that, you're just increasing your spend. The Shiv would be your next best bet, but again, you're paying $5 more for it. I'd rather pay a $5 gap fill between the Shiv and the Prospector, quite frankly. But anyway, Prospector's the one to go with. Last of the top 4 best in show ships here in the ship showdown is the Gladiator. This is a $15 discount, which is pretty good when you're getting this low, using air quotes, in price. It's in a weird price point place, so it's not super great because it effectively pushes you past the Prospector and it kind of skips that piece. But hey, it's $15 discount here, even though it might be odd for most chains. If it does fit into your chain, it's a pretty good discount at this price point. Realistically here, the Razor is the choice for you. This is the least amount of spend, 5 for 15, that's a 3-to-1. That's a really good value. Past that, we're running into some issues. We've got the Mark I. We have a concept ship that's going to increase drastically in price, and then we have the Ballista. The Ballista would be a good second choice. It has had enough war bonds that it makes it a viable ship to use in a chain. But again, I'm not sure it's right to use with the Gladiator. I would just go with the Razor on this one. Again, 5 for 15, that's pretty good, but it may not actually fit into your chain, so keep that in mind. Make sure this one will actually work for you. Also keep in mind that ship prices change all the time and new ships release all the time. So although this $5 Warbond CCU may not fit a chain now, it's such a good value that maybe grab it anyway because it could fit one in the future. Last but not least, we have the cheapest Warbond ships available today, the Shiv and the Clipper. Since they're the same price, I'm just going to go over one. Let's grab the Clipper. This is a $15 discount. Not too bad at the $150 mark. It also makes it a little frustrating that the higher price ships were only given a $10 discount. That's kind of bummer. We've got a couple choices here with the 350R, the Raft, the C1. Again, the Raft is going to get a significant price increase, but if you already have a Warbond CCU to the Raft and you're going to apply it, who really cares? It totally works. The Hornet, again, Hornet Mark 1s for the newbies. Do not use this. Don't ever use the Mark 1 Hornets. The 350R is meh. I think it's had 1 or 2 total in its life. Not a great choice. The Raft has had a few, 3 or 4, and it makes a pretty good choice, especially if you already have it. If you don't already have it, then I would not suggest using the Raft. Because the price increase is absolutely going to come basically in 4 days. I think the moment IAE ends, they're going to remove a bunch of ships from the store. You won't be able to purchase them live, and then they will increase the price of the Raft, the Hull B, the Raylan, and the other one that I'm forgetting. So if you don't already have a Warbond CCU to the Raft, I would not get this, period. If you do, then go ahead and grab it. If you don't have any Warbonds for a $125 ship, I would suggest the C1 Spirit. This is still the best one to go with. It's had tons of Warbonds. It's a well-loved ship. I think it's going to keep coming around. I think it's the best option. That's it for Warbond CCU coverage today, folks. Nothing really unexpected. All of the best in show ship showdown ships were supposed to be there today, and that's exactly what we got. Nothing extra. I was kind of hoping for maybe one additional ship. That would have been cool. But tomorrow does bring us the grand finale. It's a 3-day event technically, but what they did last year, they added new Warbonds on day 1, and nothing was really added new for days 2 and 3. So let's hope they get a little bit more creative this year. At least that's my hope. What's on your hopium list for grand finale Warbonds, folks? I know mine is still going to be the Starfarer Gemini, and pretty much anything at or under $100. Yep, that's my list. Anyhow, that is it for this one, folks. Have a great rest of your weekend. Zi-Tek out.